apologize for the mix-up with the first stream. I have to go through this whole rigmarole every time I go live to make sure, to make sure that my live is set up properly. And this morning I didn't do that correctly. And so it wasn't set up correctly. And my microphone seems a little quiet. Let's see. I have my mask around my neck because it's allergy season here, and I have been having a lot of difficulty with my allergies. So if I have to put it on during the readings, I wanted to have it here around my neck. So the cards that I'm using this week are the Blacklight Tarot cards. I really like these cards. They're very beautiful, and I saw them originally on Miss Machiste's Tarot channel. So I'll be using these. When I get done over here, I'm going to be going over to the member side of the channel to do the crystal scrying, and I'll be using this black moonstone for my scrying. I also wanted to mention here that on Saturday, and I need to make a community post about this as well, on Saturday, the 26th, so 2 days from now, I'm going to be at the Coaxial birthday celebration vendors market doing readings, and I'll have special rates for that because I won't have to do like video editing and stuff. So if you come get a reading from me live, it's like $25 for 15 minutes for every 15-minute block increment. So, to get started, I'm going to use... Did I set this to public? Hold on. I'm having a bit of trouble this morning. Yes, it is set to public. Okay, we just don't have anybody here in the chat yet. Alright. Make sure all my settings are... Alright. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting started this morning. I have been dealing with allergies, and it is not fun. But allergies here in Los Angeles, in the desert, Mediterranean type regions, so Los Angeles has the same kind of climate as like the Mediterranean regions around Greece and Italy and places like that. And I really enjoy this kind of a climate. Hi Kayla's lovely, thank you for coming. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great week so far. Oh gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's why I have my mask here in case I need to pull it up. I hope you feel better soon. this is my black natron, which of course has been combined with the ashes of some spells that I was working on. And I'm going to use this to kind of cleanse the space for the earth signs today. Just get a little bit of that and sprinkle it around, get a little bit in my tea because that is good for everyone. There we go. All right. Hopefully I'm not a total mess today and forget to write down all my timestamps and all of that stuff. Start out with Taurus. Okay, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Great. So we will be starting with the sign of Taurus. And Taurus, if you would like, just kind of gently allow any concerns that you have to float up to the forefront of your thoughts and wait patiently. If these are things that cause you stress or turmoil, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. Breathe in. Try not to think about all the pollen in the air while you're inhaling. Breathe in the divine white light of Source. And actually, if you're having respiratory issues at this time, you can just imagine that light radiating into your body. Usually it starts at the crown of the head and goes down through the soles of the feet and into the ground below. And then as you exhale, just sigh out any of the discomfort or stress or anxiety that you might be experiencing. Your cards are going everywhere, Taurus. I apologize. I am a little bit of a mess today, so I hope that you'll bear with me. And we'll just get started with the reading. Ah, yes. Very interesting card to start out with. This deck has some cards that are not in normal tarot decks. And then there's like 2 4 of Swords. There's 2 4 of Cups. I think there's also like 2 variants of the Fool card. Some of the different cards have variants that are also included, so that's exciting. Let me write down your timestamp. Today is going to be a really good day for all of us to be gentle with ourselves and with each other. So I hope that is the intention that you are setting for this fine Thursday. Taurus, here in the past, we have this King of Swords in the reverse. Now, the King of Swords is air sign energy. It's air of air energy. So this would be very kind of oppositional almost to your energy. Now, I do know that the oppositional sign to Taurus is Scorpio. But Air and earth are opposites in much the same way that fire and water are opposites. And this King of Swords is about finely honed discernment. We're looking at a similar energy as King Solomon, who was very wise and who was, very well trusted by his people to bring justice in different situations. Now, the King of Swords in the reverse means that this particular situation, Taurus, is behind you at this time. So this could have been a person with whom you were dealing. And just because they're in the reverse, it doesn't mean that they were acting unfairly in the situation. Here, it just means that this was an energy that's been left behind. So this could be a Libra person. This could have been an employer of some kind, quitting a job. And it could have been a workplace that was actually handled very fairly, potentially, but that for whatever reason, it wasn't the right situation for you anymore. So there are a few different options there. That could have been your energy. It could have been an employer or a mentor. But this is something that's been left in the past. So here in the current situation, we have this very interesting card, which is the trippin' squirrel. And squirrels really don't have those higher levels of consciousness that humans do. They just simply don't have space for it in their tiny little brains. Okay, so I'm not trying to be anti-squirrel when I say that, right? They only have so many synapses. That doesn't mean they're stupid. I don't even know if hallucinogens would have that much of an effect on a squirrel. I would imagine. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really like this card too. I would imagine that an animal such as this one would already be having a pretty transcendent experience in their life, very close to nature and very close to the higher power to begin with. So that might be the kind of energy that you're embodying in the current situation, Taurus. It might symbolize a simplification, right? Because these King of Swords situations can be quite complex, actually. It's all about one's moral dilemmas and navigating morally gray areas. So you might have simplified things a lot in your life to open up more to wonderment and to transcendental experiences. And this card is crossed by the Strength card here. So the Strength card is fellow fixed sign Leo's card in the major arcana. We have this infinity symbol over this person's head, showing that the kind of strength she is expressing here is infinite. We have the sun burning in the background, of course, Leo being associated with the sun. And she's not holding the lion's mouth closed by overt force. Rather, the lion's trying to lick her hand. It almost looks like they're probably very good friends, right? She's petting the lion on the snout and encouraging the lion to keep their mouth closed by merit of this affection. And the Strength card is like that. It's not just about physical strength, it's about all of the different strengths that you have. And in order to go on these kinds of journeys and allow yourself, like the squirrel, to be carried by the winds of fate, you do have to have a certain amount of strength in order to withstand the journey. So now we're going to go down to the MMCLI, and down here at the bottom of the 12 houses wheel is the MMCLI, which is all of the origins and foundations upon which what we see in the midheaven, the goal or destiny, will be built. And I like to imagine when I have my 12 or my Celtic cross spread laid out, that I have the 12 houses wheel laid out on top of it. So down here, this is going to be the origins of our future situation. And we have the Seven of Cups. This is a great card, especially in the upright, to have in this position. So we have this person here, and they're evaluating all these different options. Some of these options are very good. Some of them are a little difficult to parse out at first. Is this good or is it bad? And some of them are really not right for you. But I do think in the current situation, Taurus, you have a good deal of choices, and that some of these are going to be very good for you. So now we're going to look at your perspective in this situation. And this is a very interesting card for you to get here, Taurus. We have echoes of this King of Swords in the reverse energy. So perhaps some of you have strong air sign energy in your chart as well. That would create a very balanced chart for you, Taurus. But what we have here is kind of a regression from that, which would be the Page of Swords in the reverse. And when these cards show up reversed in current situations, sometimes we're looking at some of the less favorable traits of the card. The Page of Swords is on a fact-finding mission. And when that card shows up in the reverse here, that can be spying. Now, you might be spying on somebody at this time, Taurus, or you might be, this would be kind of like following people's social media very closely and not really interacting with them, but more like just stalking them on social media. So it doesn't have to be like overt spying, although you could be asking around. This isn't really gossip. There are aspects of fake news to this and false information. So I would just be very careful about that at this time, Taurus. And because of where it's showing up, I don't take it to be that someone is surveilling you. That would be if it were showing up in a situation where it's like an outside perspective looking in. Because it's from the inside looking out, I feel like it's possible that you're taking part in some, it could be less than healthy habits regarding stalking other people on social media and spying on them and whatnot. Because you should be paying attention to all these options that you have open here, right? But there might be false news about those things too. There's really a lot going on in your reading here today, Taurus. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. One of my friends does like VHS and old media Twitch streams, and we were watching a lot of Kamen Rider, or Kamen Rider yesterday, and one of the episodes was specifically about corporate espionage, which is, of course, one of my favorite topics for TV shows to be about. So here, from an outsider's perspective looking in, we have the Ace of Swords. People can see that at this time, Taurus, you are making a lot of positive changes in your life. This can be cutting out old partnerships that are no longer working for you, but it can also be cleaning house, and it can be setting up new and better habits. So this time, they call it spring cleaning, right? And it's a very good time for new beginnings. Aries season is the start of the new astrological cycle for the year. So while the Gregorian calendar would have you believe that the year starts in January, I even don't really feel like the year has started until March a lot of the time. So it is when all the new growth starts. Everything is beginning. And again, we have another sword showing up in your reading, Taurus. So really, hi, countries of the world. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you. Really emphasizing that you have this air energy pervading your reading this week. There's a lot of active energy. So let's look now into the future. Here in the future, Taurus, we have the Seven of Swords showing up in the reverse. This person is here defending themselves against all of these people who are attacking from beneath. So they've achieved this vantage point on what looks like the Rainbow Road from Mario Kart. And the combat has been so intense, as a matter of fact, that this person has lost one of their shoes. So I thought that was a really interesting touch for them to add to this deck. Now, in order to achieve this vantage point, this person probably had to work very hard. Those people might not even have seen all of the work that went into it. And this card showing up reverse in the future shows that you could be leaving behind for good all of those kinds of situations. That people will no longer be targeting you because of your success. And remember, too, that we had another fire sign card coming out as our crossing card, which is a strength card. And of course, there is a lot of strength being expressed in this particular minor arcana card. And this is another 7. So from all of these possibilities, then kind of leaving behind the ones perhaps that are more contentious, that are bringing strife into your existence without as much of the payoff as you would like. Let's look now at your hopes and fears, Taurus. And the card that we have there is the Hermit card. This card is in the upright. It could be that what you desire the most right now, Taurus, is to take some time to focus on your own enlightenment, on your own spiritual journey. And in some ways, that is what I was saying here about this card of the trippin' squirrel, right? That this creature is allowing itself to be carried by the winds of fate and forward to enlightenment. Now, this hermit is shining this beacon also from afar. So another aspect to this card is that you could be hoping to stay in touch with people who are far away from you through that kind of beacon of communication. Almost like the Hermit card is almost like a lighthouse, a spiritual lighthouse, if you will. Let's look now at the midheaven. So we have all these options, right? And that's what this is going to be based upon. Picking one of these options and going with it. And in fact, what we have showing up in the midheaven is this card about long-term financial prospects. A lot of times the Eight of Pentacles is a long-term job, a career, something that you do for your entire life. And we see this person manufacturing this peace sign here. They have all these others. They're very skilled at what they do. And the implication is that they are also very successful at what they do. Now, this card showing up here in the midheaven in the reverse tells us that one of these options has the potential to become this long-term financial stability through either an employment. It can be passive forms of income. It can be investment. But this is not a preordained type of an energy, of course. I'm not making any guarantees with my readings, of course. Like, just because I say it's a preordained energy, that just means everything is set up for that. But, oh, good. That's really interesting, Kayla's lovely. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I appreciate that. Nothing I say in my readings is going to supersede the importance of your own free will. So now, Taurus, we're going to be looking at the final outcome. And again, we have another sword, and we have some echoes here of this kind of energy with the Page of Swords in the reverse, where maybe we have false news, we've got espionage going on, things like that. In the final outcome, we have the Nine of Swords, which is about stress, anxiety, possibly sleepless nights. We have this very interesting little tableau, which is not highlighted as much on some other cards. If you look closely, it's two people having a duel and one person being victorious, shall we say, in that duel to the detriment of the other person. So this Nine of Swords coming out like this in the reverse in the final outcome position is actually kind of beneficial in that you might be leaving this stress behind. The stress, the false news, and that is probably going to be because of all of these changes that you are making. The Ace of Swords combined with that Nine of Swords is going to bring in that Ten of Swords closure. Now, whereas the Ten of Swords is very painful because with the Ace of Swords, you are the one driving the action. It should soften that a lot. But we do have you showing up with a lot of this discernment energy, this fact-finding energy, Taurus. So it does look like you will have the outcome that you desire. There are some things still that need to be put into place, but you're more than capable of doing those things. The final thing that I'll say about this reading is how you treat this in the future position. Like, are you seeking out situations that are full of turmoil? Or are you rising above those situations? All right, so that is going to conclude your reading today, Taurus. Thank you so much for everyone joining me. We will be moving on now to the sign of Virgo. And I do want to mention, before I do, that I will be going over to the member side of the channel after this live stream has concluded. And I will be scrying with this black moonstone. So you are cordially invited, but your presence fun. And it really means a lot to me that you enjoy my readings. Thank you for coming. So we are going to move on to the sign of Virgo. And Virgo, if you would like to just take some gentle, deep breaths. And as you inhale, imagine yourself drawing in the divine white light of Source. And as you exhale, just sigh out any tension or stress that you are feeling. And allow any situations about which you would like to know more to rise up gently to the forefront of your thoughts and wait there patiently while we do the reading so that we can address them. And just so I mention it again, I did want to let you know that the reason I'm wearing a mask is because it's allergy season. And while the allergies here in Los Angeles are not very bad, they still are enough to kind of make me loopy and weird. All right, Virgo. Yeah, that feels right. All right. Here we go. Interesting. Oh, okay. We've got a few majors, a few minors. Okay, all right. Let me write down your timestamp. So, Virgo, let's start here in the past for you, shall we? We have a really active energy blazing in, fire of air, this Knight of Swords. So this is a very binary type of discernment. This is like when you're cleaning your house and you have a keep pile and a get rid of pile, and everything goes into one of those two piles to be sorted. It is a sorting process. This can be a bit problematic in social issues where there's not just one solid answer, but rather that really more like a finely tuned discernment that has a respect for gray area is also present. So this Knight of Swords sees everything in very polarized terms. And we do have this card in the upright in the past for you, Virgo. So what this can indicate in a reading is that in the recent past, maybe you've been clearing things out of your life and you've been treating everything in a very binary way, in a very polarized way, to discern whether things are right for you or whether they're not. And really, when people are doing this, I think what they're most striving to do is to hone in closely on the things that are truly right for them, right? So it's not always bad, but it's also good to kind of have a more finely tuned discernment as well. So here in the place of the significator, we have the Ace of Wands. It is in the reverse. You might be feeling very low in energy recently, Virgo. And in fact, sustaining any of these nights, energetic-wise, can be very draining. You might also, because Ace of Wands is a creative energy, so, and can be associated with masculine fertility. So, in the reverse, this could also be feeling uninspired or could even signify impotence. That's not necessarily the case, but it is a possibility. Here in the crossing position, we have the Empress, however. So the Empress is a very fertile kind of energy as well, and we do see Venus right here. So it could be associated with the sign of Taurus or could be associated with the sign of Libra. So maybe you have Taurus or Libra also in your chart. The Empress, as I mentioned, is fertility, can be pregnancy. Overwhelmingly, what I'm getting from these two cards together is a feminine kind of fertility, because that Ace of Wands being in the reverse, right? Ace of Wands is an active and considered a masculine type energy. The Empress can represent traditionally feminine work, but can also represent projects which are not accomplished in a short span of time. This is something that you plant the seeds and you nurture that growth. You nurture it over a long period of time, and the success comes from the process of parturition and gestation. So there could be something like that for you at this time, Virgo, that you're trying to pull something out, bring something into fruition, nurture it, and feed it so that it will grow. But you are running kind of low on energy yourself with that Ace of Wands reversed. So now here in the, I call it the Imam Sili, so I like to pretend that there is a 12 houses wheel laid out over my Celtic cross, and the cusp of the third and fourth houses is the Imam Sili, and this is the indicator of all the origins and foundations upon which what we see in the midheaven is built. And what we have, in fact, in the Imam Sili is the Chariot reversed. So that your mobility at this time might seem to be restricted. That victory, perhaps you can see it, perhaps you can taste it. But at this time, you kind of feel like it's just beyond your grasp. And therefore, that your mobility is restricted in that way. From your perspective, I feel like there's something else. Hold on. I feel like there's something else I need to say about this Chariot card before we continue. Chariot is Cancerian energy. There could be things about the reciprocity emotionally between you and other people. You could be feeling out of touch with people at this time. That's not necessarily the case. That is something that's coming out, though. And having to do with this Knight of Swords. Okay, so there are binary aspects to this Chariot card also. We see the two sphinxes here that are, pulling the chariot, although they are lying on the ground. There is a lot of mobility in the Chariot card, but it is not immediately apparent by looking at the card, because these sphinxes are kind of relaxed. They're not pointed in the same direction. So this could imply a choice that needs to be made in the current situation. And it's kind of a ride or die choice. So what that means is, like, what is it you're really passionate about? What is it that you really want out of your life? and making that choice and sticking with it. So it's not even necessarily like two different paths. It's saying that what is right for me will never pass me by, but also that things that are not right for me, I will be passing them by. But because this Chariot is in the reverse in the current situation, it seems like you're almost there, but you're not quite there yet. And in fact, we see from your perspective, Virgo, the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles, I love that we have this gentle person here raising up a fine crop of dental floss. I'm kidding. Everybody knows what pot plants look like. But that what is happening right now is the evaluation of that crop. So maybe he's raising up a crop of Maui Wowie or Acapulco Gold, and the crystals on the buds are not what he was expecting. Maybe it's been a very wet year and a lot of that has been washed away. My friend did tell me people think OG in reference to marijuana plants means old gangster, but actually OG refers to ocean grown. It means that these plants were put out onto the seashore to make them more robust and to force them to grow bigger and stronger and potentially more potent, right? And of course, I'm simply speaking of the mechanics of it all. I neither condone nor shun consumption of these substances, which are legal here in the state of California. But that this person perhaps is testing the yield, determining the strength of the strain. So there's some evaluation going on. The implication of the facial expression is that perhaps this person is not fully content with the product that has been yielded by the crop. And we're looking back at this too with, the Empress card. The Empress card, as I mentioned, is very much about taking a long time to grow something. And sometimes it can be hard to be content with anything that is yielded if the amount of work that you've put in has been so great. So from an outsider's perspective looking in, it's very interesting that we have this card coming out in the reverse, I might add. It is a major arcana card. And this, again, there are some aspects of duality here. This is the precursor to the Empress card. We have the High Priestess. We have her all-seeing eye up here. The most important thing about the High Priestess is that she is an oracle. She has here the Torah, the truth, on her lap. She has this oracular all-seeing eye depicted above her head to show that she has that skill to commune with the divine. Now, the High Priestess, unlike the Hierophant, who also has similar capabilities, is not tainted by her connection to the populace at large. The Hierophant, acting as an intermediary, of course, must get his hands dirty from time to time dealing with the general public, and the High Priestess does not carry that burden. She is considered virginal, not necessarily a virgin, but very removed from secular life. She is connected to the lunar energy of the moon, so cyclical things. Now, the High Priestess can be in the reverse like this when secrets are about to be revealed, Virgo. The High Priestess can also be showing up in the reverse
when you are not fully aware of the circumstances around you. You might be trying very hard right now to see what is coming. And we'll go into that a little bit more when we get to your hopes and fears. The High Priestess can also be connected to the Chariot card, as I mentioned, through that duality. And because the moon is the ruling luminary of the sign of Cancer, which is the astrological sign tied by correspondence to the Chariot in the major arcana. I'm gonna have a drink of tea. Please don't pay attention at all to how sweaty my face is. So now let's look at the future. There's a very good card here in the future. And it's in the upright. So that card is the Three of Pentacles. And this Three of Pentacles is about group collaboration. We see here these two figures. They have these plans in their hands. This person here holding this mallet, working on this keystone piece right here with the three peace signs. So not only does this card have to do with collaborative projects, especially in a workplace, but it has to do with one's professional reputation. So because this is showing up in the upright in the future position for you, Virgo, I think that the potential does exist in the very near future, and you might even see it coming, for this kind of collaboration that could be very financially successful. And remember, too, we're really going back to this Empress card, really going back into that energy quite a bit in this reading, Virgo. Here in the place of your hopes and fears, we have the Moon card. And the Moon here is a card about things being unclear, about the path being uncertain. So Virgo might be a mutable sign, but is an earth sign, likes to remain somewhat grounded. We have these two dogs, the feral and the tame, and it's difficult to tell if you're veering closer to the one or to the other. But at this time, you might be hoping that things will clarify, that at some point the moon will set, the sun will rise, and everything will be fully illuminated under the light of day. We do see common threads between this Moon card, of course, which is Pisces energy, and the High Priestess card, which is the energy of the moon. I do think there are secrets that could be revealed here. And it might be about asking those around you, because we do have this card here about collaborative projects. We also have this card here about competition. So the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands has to do with, as I mentioned, competition and training. All of these individuals are training against each other to improve their own skills. And then, of course, if any one of them starts to get stronger than the others, we see a situation like on the Seven of Swords, which might be, I know it was here in, yes, this was from the Taurus reading. This is the Seven of Swords card. So if one of these people, and it looks like it wouldn't be any of these individuals here. This person's wearing a slightly different outfit. But that picture, I guess, could have been taken on a different day. Then these people who, there's a lot of rivalry, but it's a friendly sort of a rivalry. But if one person rises above, oftentimes these other individuals will then attempt to drag that person back down to their level. Now, this showing up in the midheaven, this is going to be the result of this with the Chariot, this kind of lack of mobility, this fortune being just beyond your reach, Virgo. The Chariot sometimes seems like a very predestined energy in the tarot, but I feel like in this particular case, there might be things that are going on with you that are holding that energy back. And it has to do with energy levels somewhat, the energies that you're allocating to different things, right? So if you are not allocating full energy to one particular path, it could be diluting that energy. You only have so much time in a day to perfect certain skills. And so if you are not dedicating the proper amount of time to a certain set of skills, then you're not ever going to get to the point that you desire. And the final outcome for you, Virgo, is very good. It is the 10 of Pentacles. Now, the 10 of Pentacles showing up like this in the reverse, in a future position. And if you notice, the pentacles on this are laid out like the tree of life. That the potential exists for you to attain legacy wealth. Having enough money on your own, just like this elderly gentleman in the background with his 2 dogs, to leave things for the next generation. So this card is kind of about like that passing of the torch, because then, of course, also the 10 of Pentacles is the end of a particular financial cycle for you as well. And if you have been in a good financial cycle, you have the potential for it to improve even more. And if you have not been in a good financial cycle, then I am absolutely certain that you are ready for that to change. And this 10 of Pentacles can be an indicator of that the new Ace of Pentacles is right around the corner. All right, Virgo. So that is going to conclude the Virgo reading for this week. Thank you for coming. I will be going after the Capricorn reading over to the members side of the channel and doing the scrying with this moonstone. It is a black moonstone. You can see a little bit of the flash right there. So if you are interested, you are cordially invited, but your presence here on the channel is welcome in whatever form it takes. Divine Nation, I'm getting ready to do the 3rd sign, which is Capricorn. And when I have concluded the reading, I will be putting the timestamps down in the description box as per my usual, so that you can go back and watch at your leisure. And thank you so much, Divine Nation, for joining us today. So I do want to mention one last time that the reason I am wearing a mask in the readings today is because of my allergies. All right, Capricorn, if you would like, just relax and allow any thoughts and concerns that you'd like to have addressed in the reading today to float up gently to the forefront of your mind and just wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. Now, if any of these things are stressful to you, you can just gently breathe through that tension. Inhale and imagine the divine white light of Source filling your body from the crown of your head down through the soles of your feet. And then as you exhale, just sigh out any of that tension or stress, and it will be returned to Source and transmuted. All right, I'm going to put that in the past, actually. Let's see. Forgot to turn my cards over. There we go. Just quickly take care of that. And yes, all right. Very interesting so far, Capricorn. Very interesting. I'm so glad I don't have the overhead view today. This is kind of a mess over here. All right, so, and let me just tweak that a bit. All right. So I'm going to have a sip of tea quickly. Capricorn, let's begin for you in the past. Here in the past, we have the Knight of Cups in the reverse. This would have been a period of time where you were feeling things out, trusting your gut, trusting your heart, and using those as your methods of discernment, rather than using logic or information gained from knowledge as your starting point. Now, of course, even if you are using your intuition for discernment, it is important to follow up with other forms of discernment to clarify and to make sure that what you are feeling is correct. So this Knight of Cups also could have been someone coming towards you with friendship or affection. Not in the same way as the Page of Cups, which would be an offering, but rather someone who, someone who comes into your life in that way. The Knight of Cups can be a water sign. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. So because this card is in the reverse and it is in a past position, I think that time has passed for you. And now we're moving on to the place of the significator. So this is going to be some to do with the current events of your life. And what we have in that place of the significator is the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands is about your planning. It can be a precursor to manifestation rituals. It can be a vision board. It can be plotting things out on a map. If you're planning a trip, it's any kind of planning process that you are putting into effect. And this would be different than just simply feeling things out as you go along. Now, I'm not saying that you haven't ever planned anything in the past, but there could have been a period in the recent past where you were doing things more by feel, and now you are doing things more according to your plans. Crossing this card, we do have advancement also, of that Knight of Cups energy. So this could be a companion, but it could also be your energy in this situation. We have the King of Cups. The King of Cups is a provider, a nurturer. This is air of water energy. So that strong heart, very nurturing heart, but also that finely tuned discernment that we get from the kings of the tarot deck. So, as I mentioned, this could be you. It could also be someone who's very close to you. It could have been that when this person was at a distance, they were represented like this. And now that they are much closer to you, they are represented like this. King of Cups can also be a father figure or a mentor. So now we're going to look down at the MMCLI. And I like to imagine on my Celtic cross spread that I have 12 houses laid out all around it. So down at the bottom, we have the MMCLI. That's the cusp of the third and fourth houses. And it represents all the origins and foundations that we will be exploring further when we get up into the midheaven. All right. So down in the MMCLI, we have this Page of Wands in the reverse. And one of the signs, I think yesterday, which would have been air signs, I think one of the air signs had the Page of Wands in the upright in the MMCLI. So the Page of Wands is someone who's a bit immature. It can be a younger person, but it can just be someone who has a more immature energy in that situation. Can be a fire sign person, but it can just be that energy that comes with youth. Where we have the Page of Wands in the reverse, this could be somebody who is very enthusiastic, but not very serious about a given situation. Now, as I mentioned, it could be a fire sign. This could be a romantic relationship, but it could be a business relationship. It could be a project that you're trying to get off the ground with someone else. Here, from your perspective, we have the Six of Pentacles. We have these two figures down here on the ground who are begging. We have this person very benevolently providing them with some money. So the Six of Pentacles is about the way that money is flowing, money and physical resources, the way that these things are flowing in and out of your life at this time. The implication being that when this card is upright, that more money is flowing in than flowing out. And we do have hints of the Two of Pentacles and of the Justice card over here with the scales, that there does tend to be a divine order and balance to this process. So that is from your perspective. From an outsider's perspective looking in, we have the Three of Wands in the reverse. The Three of Wands, even in this day and age, shipping freight by water is a very unpredictable process. So when a merchant sends a good quantity of money or goods for exchange over the water, it is a welcome relief to see those ships returning. And in this same vein, that is what the Three of Wands is representing. That energies which you have put out into the world are returning to you at this time. Now, this card is in the reverse. So what that means, from an outsider's perspective, people might see that you've contributed a lot to a wide variety of situations, Capricorn. And it's entirely possible that you weren't expecting anything in return. But people from the outside looking in on your situation, Capricorn, are observing that maybe you are not getting back what you had put in to some different situations. And this, of course, could have to do with some people maybe not being as serious or mature in these situations. That on the front end of things, they're very enthusiastic, but when it comes to the follow through, well, there just isn't any. But that's okay. That's not going to hold you back. Because what we have here in the future position is the Six of Wands. And this is a card of victory. We have a lot of mobility here. We have people relaxing and celebrating in the background. We have this laurel, bringing to mind the phrase resting on one's laurels. So the Six of Wands is victory, but it also has a very casual, relaxed kind of a vibe to it. And this would be things returning to you threefold. Or in this case, twofold from that Three of Wands, doing the math. This, however, could be related to this planning process that you are undergoing at this current stage. And I do take you to be this benevolent King of Cups in this situation, especially because we got that Six of Pentacles coming out here. So now we're going to look at the hopes and fears for the situation, Capricorn. And what you have is the Two of Pentacles. This could be hoping for a business partner to come in who will be a good balance for you in a situation. This could be hoping that everything balances out in the end. And it does look like it probably will. Here in the midheaven.
So again, this is going to be based on everything that we saw down here with the Page of Wands energy. That perhaps people were very enthusiastic when initially talking to you, but then didn't follow through with things.
And what we have showing up for you in the midheaven, Capricorn, is the Knight of Pentacles. Now the Knight of Pentacles is perceived to be one of the slower knights, one of the slower moving cards in the deck, but I really don't see it that way, and I'll tell you why. I see the Knight of Cups as being much more slow than the Knight of Pentacles in a lot of cases, because he's not really holding on to the reins. If you look, he's holding on to the horn of his saddle, and he's holding on to that cup, and he's just kind of letting the horse wander around as it might. The Knight of Pentacles is very grounded and moves with purpose. So he is bringing in money. The Knight of Pentacles is bringing money towards you. It represents money coming in. So there will be a payout from this. Now, these two figures do look very similar. This figure on the Victory card and the person on the Knight of Pentacles. So those could be perceived as like the same person in this situation. And the final outcome for you in this reading, Capricorn, is the Star. And this is an excellent card to get. It is major arcana, a very strong message in the upright, which is a much more predestined energy. I'm certainly not making any guarantees on my readings, Nothing that I say here is going to supersede the importance of your own free will. But we see the star card, and she too is pouring out some of her energies back into that body of water, and some of that energy is being spilled, perhaps to deleterious effect, on the ground. In some ways, it's very similar to the Six of Pentacles, in that you are putting different amounts of your emotional energies into different groups of people and getting different things out.
So that is going to conclude your reading today, Capricorn. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here. I will be going over to the members side of the channel now to do the crystal scrying for the earth signs. I also wanted to mention, if you are in the Los Angeles area, I will be giving tarot readings at the Coaxial birthday celebration vendors market on Saturday, which is March the 26th. And you can come by. I have special rates because I'll be doing the readings live as opposed to the rates which are on my website for the videos. But thank you to all of you who come live and interact in the chat. All of you who watch later. I appreciate your likes, your subscriptions, and your shares. If you want to know when I go live, I try to post the live a few minutes before I actually go live, and I think if you hit the little bell icon, that it will tell you when that is posted. Thank you to all of you for your dynamic and amazing support. And I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.